This is different. The minute you open this phone's camera, it becomes very clear that stability is now a priority. Because video is one of the most complex things to master, more so than photos, I think this is where you most feel the fact that Samsung and most other Android companies have had to rush. Samsung's dialed up the resolution to an astronomical 200 megapixels and focused on taking true 8K video, brighter night shots, and completely overhauling the stabilization system. And it actually does translate to video that is practically free from all the micro stuttering that comes with not being able to hold the camera still or having a bit too brisk of a walk. It's like having a car with a really powerful suspension. It just glides. I need to see this new stabilization system, because the S23 Ultra has both an improved software-based stabilization, combined with the lens itself having 2 times the physical optical image stabilization. It's got to do something. This has, in a single generation, gone from one of Samsung's key weaknesses to one of their key strengths.
And of course, we also had to test action mode, which is a tiny bit higher res on the iPhone compared to the Samsung, which is 2560 by 1440, both 60 FPS though. And here, the Samsung was actually a bit more stable and with better tracking. So you can see that I was in the middle of the frame for longer compared to the iPhone. So it seems like action mode alone, Samsung has now surpassed Apple. But then of course, okay, this is a front-facing camera test on the S23 Ultra and the iPhone 14 Pro. Let me know which one sounds better and also which one looks better. Take a look at the HDR processing. Which of these blows out the sky less? But yeah, let me know. What do you guys think? Okay, so the iPhone had better HDR processing and also a wider angle too.
So, starting off with the selfie camera, because Samsung's fitted the S23 with a new one, the video quality definitely looks like a step in the right direction. You can see my face texture, you can see my beard detail really clearly. I'm impressed. Quite got the smoothening anti-grain power of the iPhone though. Which is enough for me to say that Samsung is still behind at this, just not nearly as much as they used to be.
Then we also tested portrait mode video, which is now 4K 30 on both, so no more 1080p on the Samsung. And I gotta say, S separation is still better on the iPhone.
We can't forget the only thing that Samsung was talking about before these phones launched. Night mode. I mean, their entire strapline was made for moonlight. Until this point, the iPhone 14 Pro had the most technically impressive nighttime performance I've ever seen on a smartphone. And nowhere is that more apparent than when you're moving around at night, where the electronic image stabilization tends to fail. This has, in a single generation, gone from one of Samsung's key weaknesses to one of their key strengths. Well, there's 2 things you need to know about this S23 Ultra. 1, it's really good at controlling the bright spots. And the second thing is that, on average, it is getting a slight amount more information in those shots.
And of course, that we have to test night video. And here, Samsung definitely made some improvements compared to last year, but it still cannot be the iPhone. Just look at how clean the iPhone footage looks. Samsung also messed up heavily when it transitioned to those brighter buildings. Like, we had a ton of noise here. I don't know what happened. The iPhone was just perfect here and significantly sharper if you look at the buildings and with also much better exposure. So yeah, the iPhone is still the video king.
As any movie director will tell you, when it comes to video, audio is 50% of the package. So, which one sounds better? Well, it's actually pretty cool that Samsung has also silently upgraded the microphones on this phone. Not a huge update, but what you'll actually notice more is that because the speakers of the phone are now upgraded, when you're listening back to the videos taken on the phone, they now easily keep up with the iPhone.
Now, audio-wise, there was more background noise on the iPhone, but the audio was also clear, as on the Samsung, the audio felt a bit too heavily processed. So yeah, the iPhone had both a better image and better sound, which is...
But if you had to put down money on one category being the end of that streak, it would be the quality of the video itself. And because video is one of the most complex things to master, more so than photos, I think this is where you most feel the fact that Samsung and most other Android companies have had to rush. If you go to a more extreme lighting environment, you can see the simple fact that Apple has spent more time tuning start to kick in those fringe cases. Plus, Apple still remains slightly more detailed in almost all cases. It's getting close, closer than I ever expected it to be, to the point where Apple should be worried, but they do just edge it out for now.
On to ultra-wide video, we have 4K 60 on both, and just like with the normal video, the iPhone is sharper. The colors are better, and we also have more detail. If you take a look at the buildings in the far distance, we do have better shadow details. So all in all, yeah, the iPhone is just a very, very good video camera. Then we have video 4K 60 on both, and I gotta say, this is still better on the iPhone. The footage looks much higher res, the colors are more vibrant, and the exposure is also better on the iPhone. Yeah, like...
The iPhone took better video, it took better night shots, it was a way more stable camera. But this new S23 Ultra is a direct response to Apple.
The iPhone was just perfect here, and significantly sharper if you look at the buildings, and with also much better exposure. So yeah, the iPhone is still the video king.